Well, FCS fans nation, it is halftime of what we were deeming the game of the week, FCS Kickoff game, Jacksonville State, SFA, and it's being Rev today, doing a little halftime breakdown of the game, and we'll try to be as objective as possible. So we'll try to keep it short, 20-ish minutes, get you ready for the second half. So Rev, first, just give me your overall impression, kind of your general thoughts about the whole thing.
It's been an interesting game. Not gonna lie to you, the way the momentum has gone back and forth has been just insane to see. It almost is almost like a reversal of last year's game where Jacksonville State got up early first and SFA came back and took a lead for a while, but this time it's the other way around. It's interesting to me is watching. There's two things that are really like I'm just interested to see. It's the way Jacksonville State is playing when Zion Webb is on the field versus when and they're just running the RPO basically with them the entire time, and it's working against the SFA defense. And the other piece with me is watching Trey Self and Xavier Gibson, and if they're utilizing that combo enough, or if they're not. And so, those are my two biggest things I'm watching. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm impressed with Jacksonville State. I didn't think they would be as I didn't think they would click as well as they are right now on offense. They're playing a really good game. They've got 360 yards offense at halftime.
Yeah.
And so it's the Rich Rod offense that is advertised is what we're getting to see. So I'm impressed with that. I think that SFA is very fortunate right now that Jacksonville State shot themselves in the foot a couple times early with the interception, which was more of just a great play from SFA, but then the fumble as well and the botched play down there at the goal line. So and obviously a blocked field goal. So there's a lot of things going SFA's way right now to keep them in the game, but then Jacksonville State playing very, very well. So I think we're going to get a little
So we got a guest coming in. Yeah. So one thing about that, it reminds me of what SFA did last year. SFA, the 4 losses they had last year were by a combined total of 18 points if you include the playoff game against Incarnate Word. And each of those games, they had opportunities to win, opportunities to do this, and they didn't. They either ran conservative play calling, or they basically put themselves behind the 8 ball, and they couldn't capitalize on opportunities they had. I mean, they had 2 turnovers in the first half and got 7 points off of it. That's just, to me, you can't just can't do that. With those turnovers, you have to score points in some way, shape, or form, and they didn't do it. And that's just a complete missed opportunity. The last play before the drive where Jacksonville State got in close, they should have gone for the jugular. They should have gone for the throw. Instead, they ran it and threw 2 incompletions and basically 3 and out, and just things like that. It's, as an SFA fan, it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it was. I was sitting there watching. I guess minutes left first. I think, and it's going to go for the throat here before halftime, and maybe put it away, because that was kind of what I was talking about. I guess last night, saying that if this game was close late, that it could be bad for SFA, but if they could jump out early. But then, huge 180 turnaround. We're sitting here with a Jacksonville State lead at halftime. Chris, are you good? Can I add you? Okay. I didn't know if you could. I didn't know if you were going to add yourself.
No.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. It's like I'm not in my normal spot, but
okay. As far as the SFA offense, we talked about maybe some questionable play calling early on, especially down closer to the red zone when the field shrunk a bit. But I liked the first touchdown pass from Trey Self. I thought that was a pretty play call. So I was impressed there. Chris, I know you've been flipping in between the Idaho State game. What are your overall impressions of this one so far?
This one's definitely more interesting, more exciting, and a better game. I don't think I'll be flipping back and forth the rest of the second half. No, it's been pretty good. I think Jacksonville State has capitalized on the gap plays. They've definitely had, I feel like, a little bit more creative play calling. I mean, just that last touchdown, the fake end around, you're seeing some vintage Rich Rod, some things that, helped him get to where he was. That's Jacksonville State's made a lot of dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think Stephen F. Austin's playing their game. Maybe not to the level that they want to be doing it, but I think if this pace continues in the second half, I just don't see the ball continuing to bounce Jacksonville State's way as much as it kind of has to keep them in it. I think this game, they need to make adjustments. Like if you go in the halftime right now, if you're SFA, at least, I mean, I don't have a rooting interest in this, so Rev might disagree. Just keep on keeping on because one, you have the lead. You are the FCS squad in this, and you do have the lead. You are the home team, but you're actually the away team. Like everything is against you, and yet here you are leading at halftime on a really like frantic 35-second drill for them to get into the end zone. Like SFA has done everything in its power to win this game. They come out and execute the way they did in the first half, they'll win. JSU has had to fight their tails off to be in this point where it almost feels like SFA is just kind of going through their game plan, going through their motions, and they are executing exactly how they would like to, where JSU is like game plan's out the window, it feels like, and they are just trying to get back in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch what JSU is doing. I mean, Zion did have that great pass to Galvin for 70-something yards. Other than that, he has been so inconsistent throwing that they've kept him in an RPO basically the whole time, and it's worked. It's absolutely worked. And then they got Speedy back there who's just making the SFA defense miss. I mean, they have 200 yards of rushing on the ground in the first half. SFA gave up 172 yards last year total to Jacksonville State. So SFA does have to make an adjustment defensively to stop the rush. I don't think they need anything pass wise because other than that 170-yard pass, SFA's pretty much shut them down passing. Offensively, SFA has got to take chances, and they're not doing it. They're not utilizing Gibson as much as they should, or they're not making Gibson a decoy as much as they should. I mean, there's a reason why they're probably if not the best, one of the top 3 QB wide receiver combos in FCS. Use them, but I want to go back to the drive where SFA scored their first touchdown. SFA's on the 2-yard line. They ran the same play twice. They're at the 2-yard line and have no play under center to move the ball forward, right? And then it took them going on 4th down and using Gibson as a decoy to get that first touchdown. But it shouldn't have been a 4 down like territory there. That should have been 1st and 2. You stuff it up the middle. You have the ability to do it with Miles Reed, but they're not. They're basically running RPOs instead, and things like that are what's absolutely frustrating to watch as a fan of the team, to see that the play calling is just too conservative. Our 3rd down play calling is insanely conservative, and you have to take chances in this game. And when you're up 17-7, you have to go for the throw before half, especially when you get the ball back.
Gibson does make up over 50% of your total offense right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, do you really want to be that reliant on him? I know you're talking about also really like using him as a decoy, but like, I feel like that's part of the reason JSU's been able to stay in this is they have done a really good job of spreading the wealth. Like LaRoche has had a fantastic game so far, but like they're not short in the wide receiver department either. I mean, quarterback play has been suspect, but they have, 5 or 6 guys that have registered a reception. I feel like SFA JSU is playing a more balanced approach. I feel like SFA, everything is looking Gibson's way, and that's part of the thing that's getting in their way now is like JSU knows that.
I'll say this too, just coming from like you have probably the best receiver in the FCS this year, Xavier Gibson. UCA had that for like 2 years with Tyler Hudson and Lawan on the same field. And sometimes it gets hard when you're reliant on one guy because if they key on them, especially if your offense relies on them, it's hard to use them as a decoy. So I don't know. It's weird sometimes when you lean on somebody as much as you do like that. But Chris, you kind of touched on the Jacksonville State quarterback play. That was something I want to talk about. They've kind of rolled with a 2-quarterback system with the NC State transfer and then Zion Webb coming off an injury. Who have you been more impressed with? I'll throw it to you first, Dustin. Who have you been more impressed with, and who do you think they go with more in the second half?
I mean, it's funny. I have a couple of Jacksonville State friends who are texting me, and they're like, why is Zion Webb still playing? And then when they brought in McLaughlin, their kind of response was bring back Zion Webb. So, I mean, I don't know. I think when Zion Webb is out there, I mean, he's like I said, he's made a couple of great throws, but it's his legs you have to worry about, and that just completely changes the dynamic of that offense. after the last 2 minutes of that half, I would keep Zion out there until he absolutely shows that he shouldn't be out there. I don't know if flipping into a 2 quarterback system is what Rich Rod needs to do right now. Rich Rod has basically been able to run the ball down the field. Keep doing it. That's what it is. I would just stick with Webb until Webb shows he can't do it.
Either that, or they need to give McLaughlin more than a handful of snaps. He has 6 snaps under his belt, and only four passing attempts, I believe. So it's like, when you're gonna throw a guy in mid-game, like, I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt to get some rhythm going. I mean, that, or they need to do what they've done, and they need to either stick with Webb. I don't think flip-flopping quarterbacks every other drive is going to work. If they go into halftime and they go, you know what, we think we need to improve a quarterback play, we're going to go with McLaughlin, they need to give him 2-3 drives. And if it really falls apart, then put back in Webb, and you stick with Webb the rest of the game. But I would hate for them to see, like, give McLaughlin like another 4, 5, 6 snaps, take him back out, put Webb in. Like, it's the second half now. It's got to get real. I know it's week 0, but it's week 1 for these teams. Like, This loss counts. If you lose, you are 0-1. So they need to figure out the quarterback competition in the next 30 minutes, or it's going to be rough going into actual week 1, week 2.
Yep. I'll say this too. They they made the switch when momentum was in favor of SFA, and they pulled McLaughlin, however you say it, when momentum was in the direction of SFA. And so I think they found what they were looking for. They were looking for one quarterback to start something, get them on a little bit of a run. Now they've got all the momentum, and Zion Webb is doing great. So yeah, I think they'll stick with him. I think he does bring that second dimension as far as being the quicker quarterback, the running quarterback. So I think that's
my opinion is stick with Webb for sure. I just think if they're going to put McLaughlin back in, give him more than a handful of snaps. Yeah, I would stick with Webb at this point if I was Rich Rod.
You got to stick with what's working.
McLaughlin does throw a really good ball, though. There was that first, I guess it was like that first deep throw he had was like 30 yards. It was pretty. Let's see, Miles Reed, bright spot, Rev. Of the SFA offense so far, he's been the bright spot.
Yeah, that 40-yard run that he had was great. I mean, Miles Reed only ran for 700 yards, or I don't say only. He ran for 700 yards last year. Only had 3 touchdowns, though, because they used him as a way to open up the passing game. It's kind of worked a little bit, but it's. I mean, he has really great first step. Definitely been a bright spot for the offense. Let's just see what happens in the second half. See how Kobe adjusts.
He is a lot quicker than I remember from last year. I don't know if maybe he got a little quicker, or if I just didn't remember it right. But we'll look at some questions here. Jalen Cooper said, "How do you feel about that overturned JSU INT?"
I mean, here's the thing. It was a pick. The refs got that wrong, but at the end of the day, did it really matter? Because they ended up getting the ball back where they would have had it anyway. So I think it's at that point, you can say the refs is a missed call. I don't think it had necessarily had an impact on the game. I mean, maybe Jacksonville State would have scored quicker. Maybe they wouldn't have. You don't know. I mean, so it's just, I would just say, yes, bad call by the refs to overturn it, but it really had a negligible impact to what happens.
Isn't it beneficial when you have controversial calls like that happen at the end of the second quarter instead of the end of the fourth quarter?
Yeah, right.
We kind of know how it plays out, where if this happened end of the fourth with a couple minutes left, everybody's like, well, JSU would have blah, 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 and we would have known they would have got the ball back, or however the second half goes.
As I said to someone, I was like, it made up for that phantom face mask that gave JSU 15. That wasn't a face mask. But, I mean, I think these refs that is questionable. I agree with JSU fans initially to be outraged at that. But like I said, it really didn't have an impact at this point in the game. They got the ball back at the 50 and they ended up scoring.
Yeah, at the time it seemed like it might have been a big deal, but didn't really change much. Jabari Jones says, do you still think Kennesaw would lose to SFA? And I want to take this one because I think it was me that said the other day, I was like, if I put them on a neutral field, I think SFA would win. I wouldn't jump off the SFA train yet. I mean, the offense just hasn't clicked like we thought it would. But I mean, we've played 30 minutes of football and it's week 0. So I think if we put them on the field, it wouldn't be I don't think the result would be any different than what I thought, 4 days ago. So that's just me though.
Yeah. Kennesaw State's still not going to FBS, Jabari. Sorry. You can get mad at me for that one, but you're not going to FBS anytime soon.
That brings, we talked last night. I made the comment about depth coming into play maybe for Jacksonville State. It is hot. apparently in Montgomery,
92?
Alabama right now.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah,
92 with 80% humidity.
That so I'm sure that heat index is pretty tough right now. So SFA, couple injuries. I don't think anything too serious. Jacksonville State center, the Zach Angelosi, is that his first name? Zach.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully he's okay. He was on crutches, but hopefully the heat doesn't come into play too much, because I think that does play into Jacksonville State's favor.
Yeah, I mean, cramping is not going to be good. I was a little concerned about one of the SFA guys. Looked like he took a dive to slow down the play, but you also never know. You can get up and walk and then have a cramp kick in. If you did take a dive, that's pretty. I mean, crap. But we're both schools are used to the heat. I mean, we get humidity like that in East Texas, but I mean, getting down the field doing all that, it might play into Jacksonville State's favor. I saw this comment from Jabari and put it on here. They do have let's see, which one? I hit the wrong one. Sorry. The one where it said they were planning to build a 30K stadium. That's the difference. They're planning to build a 30K stadium. They haven't done anything on it. Every other school that wants to go FBS has actually actively gone and done things. Charleston State's expanded their stadium to 24,000. Jacksonville State had crews out there working before they announced their expansion. Kennesaw State just doesn't have they're all talk. As they say in Texas, they're all hat, but no cattle when it comes to this. So sorry. I mean, I'm sorry, Jabari. That's just kind of where it stands. Unrelated to this game, I do want to call out I want to give a shout out to the Governors. What a game against Western Kentucky.
Great job. Good representation. And, a couple things went south there at the end, but they were in it late.
They were. The whole time they kept fighting back. There's a couple times it looked like they'd fall out of it, and they bounced back. They gave me they missed me on my money line, but they got me the spread, which I apparently actually bet on twice. And then I did lose a parlay because Nebraska sucks. So much so, the Big Sky won't even take them.
That tweet was hilarious. I don't know what intern they have running that account, but
that was the best shade I've seen on Twitter today. What's the score? I haven't checked. What's the score of the Bengals game? How bad are they down right now?
35-7 halftime.
Oh no!
Oh
yeah, it was only 10-7, I believe, at end of first quarter. So only got out of hand quickly. But
I mean, I think that shows you the difference in depth and talent between what Eastern Washington has versus what Idaho State has also as well.
I will also say, watching the game, UNLV is a better team this year. I do think Araujo has them trending upward. That they look significantly better. I mean, part of that's probably that they're playing Idaho State, but it's even the little things like just the way the quarterback even drops back looks like he actually knows what he's doing. So little things that big one too.
45-7
guys. Yeah, I was talking to some Weaver guys earlier. They were a little worried about the Utah State game. Utah State trailing 14-0 to UConn. So we might have a few of the FCS.
Yeah,
I think that's their week 1 opener. I think Weaver opens against Utah State. So Utah State upset against UConn and then has to host Weaver.
Honestly, UConn's a mid-tier FCS team who plays in the FBS conference. So
mid-tier, they are low tier.
Mid-tier is generous.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you're losing to them, I like Weaver's odds against you a lot.
Yeah, I do too. Honestly, that I would definitely bet on Weaver to win that.
Yeah.
So
how's this game still at halftime?
Because Brandon Owens' sister is playing in the band, and they're probably taking forever to finish.
The Marching Southerners are going to take
Marching Southerners. They do. They take their time. They take their sweet ass time when it comes to halftime shows.
I think they should make a new rule where halftime is a set amount of time, which it already is. But if the band is on the field, it's fine. They are kicking off at 0-0. Like you get a bunch get way more Cal Stanfords going. Like intentional Cal Stanfords.
The band is on the field. We used to.
Oh, the tuba player hasn't come off yet. Doesn't matter. We're kicking off. Hope he dodges the 240 player.
We used to come out of the locker room and warm up punts and everything, and the band would still be, if they were playing on past their time, we'd sit there and kick on the field. It was like, you might piss some people off, but you got to get your warm up. That's what they're there for.
I assume that's Joe who asked that question, and it's because they took the cold planer away from in front of my house. I'm a little bummed out about it because I was going to hang an SFA flag out in front of it for the weekend. Have my photo. For those, there's a story behind this. You should go listen to Hack City's Believe in FCS podcast if you hadn't.
Yeah, they had
I
a
didn't
really
realize.
good Week 0 episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize that a tweet that I thought was that I deleted for fear of the construction company coming back after me would amuse Joe DeLeon so much, but here we are. So.
All right, I guess we're probably getting close to kicking off the second half. So before we get going, shout out Xavier Gibson taking over the all-time reception or receiving yards record.
Yeah.
Is that what it is, Rev?
He is the number one. Yeah, he is the number one has number one reception yards for SFA. So nice job. Yeah.
Congratulations to him. That's a big deal. Got to see some history. But before we go, we'll get some second half predictions. Rev, I'll start with you. What final score are you predicting, seeing what you've seen so far?
That's the thing. I don't know because it's you got to see what the adjustments are. If the game keeps going the way it's going, it's going to be Jacksonville State by 3 or 4, probably. SFA has got to be able to stop the run. I would focus more on the run because I don't know if I would trust Zion Webb's arm right now. To be honest with you. If SFA gets it together, the line was, I think, 7.5 before the game. I don't think the line is going to get broken either way. I think whoever wins is going to be by 3 or 4. It's going to be a close game like that. Hopefully, on a personal level, hopefully it's SFA, but we'll just see what happens.
Chris, what about you?
SFA wins somewhere between 1 to 7 points, and there's about another 30 points scored here in the second half. I'm talking, but I trust it.
I think SFA gets some adjustments. I think Colby Carthel makes some good halftime changes, and SFA comes out. I think the pace maybe slows down a little bit because I think when SFA started to get behind the 8 ball there in the last 5 minutes was when the pace really picked up, and Rich Rod kind of got what he wanted, and so they slow him down a little bit. I think they'll be fine. Come out and get the ball and go score. Never look back. So I'm going to take SFA I'll take it by 3.
Yeah.
So.
Very
you know what?
cliche,
I'm wearing red. You guys are a neutral podcast. I'll take JSU by 1. I got to do it. I still get my money anyways. I'll get less mony than had I just actually predicted that beforehand, but got the red hat on. I'm with you guys, Gamecocks. Stay cocky. That's going to bite me in Houston later this year.
Yeah. We're gonna kick your ass at the Battle Apocalypse, Chris.
Well, we appreciate everybody that is on here. We're losing some people. I think the game's probably getting started back up. So we'll hop off. Enjoy the second half, and we'll talk later.